Hello and welcome to my short video where I will explain all of the new heat and overclock stuff. This will be more of a not as well edited video, I guess. Just a short preview. I plan to make a more thorough, more edited, more cut down video sometime in the future, but I just want to get this out so that people have the opportunity to get to know what all of the different things are in advance. So I'm still in the preview right now. Actually, I'm on the beta app. It's not even the public preview yet. So everything you see is definitely still subject to change. Some of the textures, maybe even, and especially the stats of all the parts. Could still change in the future and probably will. So, okay, what got added? Well, first off, you have the ability on many parts to overclock them. Yeah, so let's just turn it on and try it out. And yeah, you saw that they fired a burst of shots, but the guns are burning down, so that's not good. We don't want that, of course. So let's reset through. What you can do is you can put wires on them and you place some thermal storages, like this, for example. This is way too much, but just as an example showcase, let's spawn like this ship, for example. And let's turn overclock on, target it, fire, fire. Ah, there it is. Okay, you see they fired a burst and those batteries are slowly filling up. So if we speed up time, yeah, those batteries filled up a bit more. So now we have all of this heat in our system, but how can we get rid of it? Well, for that we need some heat dissipation. For that we will use radiators. You see those radiators have a line and their effectiveness is based on how many parts, how far the parts are in front of this thing. So, for example, this would make the radiator extremely inefficient because a part is very close. If you place like a part, I don't know, somewhere here, then the radiator still has 30% efficiency, which is still really bad. So most of the time when you place radiators, you just want them pointing at some open space. Okay, and now you can keep them auto-fired and the heat will dissipate in time, and yeah. You can also see a nice visual feature. When there is strain on the heat system, those pipes will be glowing. So every time those things fire, there is some strain and they start glowing. Alright, so other useful information. If I were to make, so first of all, where can you even place connections? You can see those green arrow thingies. Everywhere where there are those green arrows, you can place connections. And I don't know, a shield, for example, has those green connections at the bottom. A really easy rule to remember: everywhere where you could place a door is where you could also connect a wire. That's true for almost all parts. There's a small exception I will come to later, but that's the general idea. But what is really important to remember is that if I pause right now, delete this, and place a wire here, this plaster will not be connected to the thermal system here because you cannot connect through a part. So if I were to unpause right now and this blaster fires, it will overheat. So let's just reverse that real quick. Yes. So you have to be really careful. There are only, I think there are only 2 exceptions, 3 maybe. You can connect through radiators. So you can, if you send like, if you make like a line like this and you, I don't know, you turn those off, you see that the outermost radiator still is working. And is, or even if you just turn this off, this thing is still working. Okay, but if you like place something like a shield where the connection goes through, this thing is not working and the blasters will slowly overheat. You can see the heat storages are filling up again. What's next? Yes, the second exception is the new part, which is the only new weapon, I guess, which is the thermal resonance beam. That's a new weapon. I will explain it later, but you can also connect through that. Let's say you're over here and you delete this, and now this part overheats. Okay, let's delete it again. It fires, and let's place it back. Then the heat will not be able to be sent into the thermal system because the part is already heated up. In this case, you need a different part. In that case, you need so-called heat exchangers. They can basically suck off all of the heat from the surrounding parts and send it into the thermal system. So this blaster, it heats up, but the heat exchangers suck all of the heat up and they send it directly into this thermal system right there. And that way, this is kind of a wireless method to transfer heat to your system. And it's also kind of a way to use your own ship as a thermal battery. Because this blaster basically stores all of the heat on itself. And these heat exchangers are the way to transfer that heat back into your system. I already placed the thermal resonance beam, the TRB. So I will explain that one right now. Okay, so let's place this thing here. They are too close together. They have the same restrictions as deck cannons. They cannot be too close together. Those are heat parts, so they produce heat by default. If you look at them, they do not have an overclock toggle. So they are kind of overclocked by default. They always produce heat. So we will definitely need some heat management for them. So let's place some radiators. Yeah. Also, they are rook weapons, so you can place armor in front of them if you want. So let's fire them. This looks like that. And as you can see, they kind of heat up. They kind of heat up the parts, and heat damage slowly damages parts. It sets stuff on fire. Turn on. Oh yeah, now it's just, it applies heat damage to the shields. Okay. So in a previous patch it just dealt damage directly to the shield itself, but now it heats the shields up if it hits the arc. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it also applies a debuff to the shield, as I said before. So if... and the game crashed. What I wanted to say was that thermal resonance beams provide a debuff to the shields, which makes it easier for other weapons to penetrate the shields then. What you can also see is this glowing thing right there. This is the thermal storage. So if I were to remove all of the radiators, then this heat storage right there will slowly heat up. So they do have a bit of internal heat storage, so you do not need thermal batteries if you have thermal resonance beams on your ship. Another thing you might notice is the TRB, they have this toggle right there. They have a safety toggle. Basically, normally, if their heat storage is full, they will stop firing to prevent them from overheating. But if you want, you can turn the safety toggle off, and that way you can still fire them even though they are overheated. So this beam is pretty weak though. So how can we make it any stronger? Yes, we can. There are upgrades for the thermal resonance beams. There are two important parts. There are the amplification pumps. I will just place those like these. You can see they have different inputs that you have to place the wires on top, and you can place the doors at the bottom. So let's just connect them like this for now. And oh, there's also dilation pumps. I will place those. I will place one like this. Okay. So what do these do? Well, the amplification pumps, they make the beam stronger. Alright, so I placed a bunch of amplification pumps, and if we try this again, then it should be much faster. And it is much faster. But obviously, those amplification pumps are going to need energy. You see that a lot of their energy has already ran out. So on a normal ship, you need to connect those. And another thing you might notice is that adding amplification pumps causes the thermal resonance beams to produce a ton more heat. So this radiator, which was more than enough before, is nowhere near enough now. And we need a few more of them. So now to the dilation pumps. I will just... If you fire them, they will basically increase the radius of where you deal damage. So you can see that a really big radius of parts is getting heated up here. If you have enough of those, you can sometimes even cook the insides of the enemy ship, even though you haven't even destroyed the armor yet. I, of course, did forget something very important, which is the amplification pumps and the dilation pumps. They actually count for each thermal resonance beam that they are connected to. This means that this layout right here and this layout are totally different. If I connect the two thermal resonance beams, they will immediately deal more damage because they will receive the buff from both sides. But it also will increase the energy consumption from all of the different pumps. So you definitely want to connect them up in many cases. There is also a concrete formula you can look up to see if what setup you want to use. And my game crashed again. Is there anything else? Yes, there is one thing I didn't talk about up until now. If you look at the launcher weapons, the launcher weapons actually do not have an overclock. If you select one of your parts, you can toggle the overclock in the build menu. But as you can see, with launchers, there is no overclock option. But what we did get is a completely new type of launcher. This icon will probably be replaced with something else. the so-called thermal canister missile. So let's just quickly give it some ammo, place some crew. It works pretty much like a normal launcher, but of course there are some thermal mechanics right there. First off, you can see this is one of the parts where the door slots are not where the part connects. You actually need to connect it one space above. And this, of course, also takes some new ammo. And there's also a very useful property that those launchers have. So let's place a bunch of them, just for purposes of demonstration. So if we fire them at a target, you can see they apply heat. So they are kind of like the incendiary missiles a bit. So if they will hit internals, they will obviously set them on fire. But if you look at them now, they are not glowing anymore, so they can't shoot. That is because those parts actually need to consume heat to be able to shoot. So let me showcase this real quick. I will auto-fire those thermal resonance beams, and that will slowly fill up their heat. Sadly, those don't produce a lot of heat. Oh yeah, now they slowly heat up. And that's how you get ammo for those parts. So, and what is really useful about those, that they are kind of heat storage and heat dissipation in one. Because they store your heat inside of those missiles, and when they shoot, they basically dissipate your heat. So this is kind of a alternative, like a consumable alternative to the heat dissipators, to those radiators. And I think that's all of the important things for the heat system. There are obviously dozens of overclocks now. Maybe not dozens, but a lot of overclocks. And I just recommend you go through all of the different parts, try them out, try to see if you have a unique ship idea. And yeah, just have fun, enjoy yourself.